365, we making up plays. You talking the game, get you through the days. We're out in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety topics living the same. All presentation, sports information. In the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays, they work in your faces. Grace at the field, so tie the laces. All sports, all plays.
And welcome to the latest episode of Real Talk. I am excited to be here tonight. We had a breakthrough in the NFL today. We are getting close to football. I believe this is the last week, or this will be the last show that we have about football. There's a game Wednesday, right?
Yeah, Thursday.
Yeah. So last time we got to go through this. Football will be back, ladies and gentlemen. Times are good. Everything's right in the world again. But before we get into it, how y'all feeling today? What's going on, Kenny?
Oh man, I'm good, man. Good weekend. Got to watch a couple of good fights, so it was a good weekend.
Absolutely. Dev, what's going on, my man?
Same old, baby. Just chilling, hanging in there. Waiting for this preseason to start up. Give us a little taste of this season.
Dev, what's going on, my man? Absolutely. Well, we got to get into it. I guess you call it breaking news. Going into the weekend, there were rumors of the Deshaun Watson situation somewhat finalizing. And from what I understand, this isn't an actual ruling. This is just what's being suggested. So there's not necessarily a definitive on that just yet. But Deshaun Watson was recommended to have a 6-game suspension, no fine financially outside of the money that he will lose. And by all reports, he said he thought he didn't deserve any. The NFL wanted at least a year, $8 million fine, at least 12 games, and we landed here at 6. Reading the report, there's a lot to take away from it, and how she got to the 6-game mark. But kind of with everything that we've seen, with everything that you've heard, do you think this was the right amount or just punishment? And I'll start with you, Devin.
I'm gonna say no, man, because it's just kind of crazy, like how we can suspend Calvin Ridley for almost a year for gambling.
No, almost. It's for a year.
Yeah, you know what I mean, for a year, and we talking about this is sexual assault. Even though it's allegedly, but this is something dealing with female rights a little bit. Something that females has been trying to make noise for for a nice period of time. And if we can suspend gambling for a whole year, then I don't see how this one fits just a 6-game suspension. I think the NFL just rushed it. I don't think the NFL actually did its due diligence on this Deshaun Watson case. Now, like I said, I'm not trying to bash the man or say that he did what he did. You know what I mean? Because like I said, all the facts still not all out yet. But we still punishing the guy for allegedly. You know what I mean? I'm just kind of confused on this whole situation. I don't know which way the NFL is actually trying to go on this whole Deshaun Watson. It seems like they want to punish the guy, but then they seem like they don't want to punish him, with the 6 games. So I'm just a little confused.
But just for clarity, this wasn't the NFL's decision. Like, this was the middle person, like the third party, like supposed to be a neutral third party. So
okay.
For me, I'm not necessarily blaming the NFL because they could choose to accept her suggestion, but they could also appeal it, and then Roger Goodell will basically get to decide what the suspension would be. But you said you feel like they rushed it. I feel like they've dragged the heck out of it. Like, we forget he didn't play last year, and we can argue the reasons why, but he didn't play last year. A lot of that has to do with this. So how much more time do you think they should have taken, or what else do you think they would have needed?
To find the actual facts. Did he actually do it or not? You know what I mean? It's like I said, there's no true evidence of if he did it or not.
There were 2 grand juries that said no.
Yeah, but
What do you
But
do?
then like I said, it that's why I said it's so confusing because it's now it feel like it's like a he say she say type thing in my eyes. You know what I mean? It's just like pointing fingers. It's like, yeah, he did it, but then it's I don't know. Like I said, it's just a little confusing to me. I need to do some more research on it.
Kenny?
Yeah, I'm kind of with Dev in terms of the confusion, but like I did I listened to a lot of talk about it today between the sports radio and then the debate shows, and then I was listening to Sports Center on tonight, and I'm kind of with Deb after hearing everything. Like it's so ambiguous. Like I understand, like with the ruling, and it's like especially like with her ruling, she said that he was predatory and that he committed sexual assault, and like all of the things that she said, like it seems like it would line up to be a whole lot harsher of a ruling based off of what she said. Like, so that's the confusing part, and I'm not sure if this was kind of like the if this is going to eventually be the settled amount, because I think the NFL is going to appeal, and then he's going to try to, and Odell's going to try to drop the hammer, and then maybe it's somewhere in the middle of these two, where they try to get him for a year, and it's somewhere between the year and the 6 games. Maybe they settle halfway and split the difference or something like that. I'm not sure, but it just seems like that this was just a first step in this process, and I don't feel like it's finalized, because again, like with everything that she said, it would seem like it would be a lot more of a punishment than just 6-game suspension and no fine, because like the stuff that she said basically really just said that he was guilty. Like she said it in not so many words, that he was guilty, like he was a predator, and that what would happen would define sexual assault and things of that nature. So like for what she was saying in her ruling, the judgment didn't quite make sense to me based off of what she said. Now, having said that, I don't think that, especially like you said, because of the 2 grand juries that came back and didn't pursue the case, like it's hard for me to, after 2 grand juries come back and say that this is not worth taking a trial, and then you're turning around and saying that this was sexual assault. Like that's the whole confusing part. Like I'm not understanding like who's right and who's wrong here. So I just think that she kind of got the ball rolling, and then I think this is just the first step in the process.
So I have a couple questions for you. You said you think the NFL would appeal. My question is, Roger Goodell works for the owners. Mm-hmm. Do we really think the owners want this to keep going on into the new year, and one of the owners is Deshaun Watson's team?
Yeah, I think that especially the way they structured his contract, where they only have to pay, that we're going to be paying him $1 million this year. I think they structured that specifically thinking that they were going to not have him this year. So I don't think that I think they did that with the anticipation that they weren't going to have him for this season. That's why the contract is only paying him for like $1 million or whatever the case is for this season.
Right.
So I think that
was the plan. But once an independent person comes in and says 6, you would argue against that?
Because I'm not saying that they would argue against. I'm saying that they took that precaution, thinking that that was going to be the case. Of course, now they got this ruling, I'm sure Cleveland is going to want to roll with this, but I'm not sure if all of the other owners are going to want to deal with the backlash that comes along with this.
But the part of her ruling that I think the owners should be cognizant of was a lot of the reason she went with the 6 was because she said that was the precedent the NFL had previously set. So if you're the owner, you are establishing precedent. One precedent would be the first time we sent it to the individual person, we stepped in and undercut her. That I don't think that defeats the purpose of her as a whole. I think the second part to that is it's easy to point the finger when it's somebody else's player. It's real different when all of a sudden it's Ezekiel Elliott on your team. And I think as the owners, they got to say, if this is the precedent we're setting, we're not really going to catch the shots here because it wasn't our ruling. But if we have this really, really harsh over punishment, then what happens when the next person crosses the conduct policy? Because basically all she did say was he violated the personal conduct policy.
Mm-hmm.
So if that becomes the standard, sexual assault, personal conduct policy, a year, that's going to be the new precedent going forward. And I don't think owners want that either.
I could see that, but I think also, I think that there's a little bit of a unique circumstance with this one, where with Ezekiel Elliott, I think it was just 2 cases. We got 24 or 20, 20 plus cases. So I think that's where the precedent may not necessarily apply, because you have a greater level of committing that infraction. You know what I'm saying?
I just think if it's more than one, where do you draw the line? And legally, I just think that creates a real slippery slope.
But that's also. But I was going to say also, though, like that's like also in sentencing. I mean, when it comes to sentencing, in criminal situations, based on the amount of I guess victims or things of that nature, that can enhance or make your sentence that much longer based off of how many charges that they charge you with. You know what I mean? So that's why I was.
But the difference is those people were guilty though. Like he hasn't been found guilty.
But she, again, in her ruling, she did say that.
She based so that I guess that's I can kind of go there, but I don't know. I'm not gonna lie. I'm good with it,
man. Like they basically said the man was guilty, but I don't. That's to me. It was a reach. That part was a reach to me, because how does it go through 2 grand juries and it's not taking a trial, and then you in your ruling determine that he was guilty of sexual assault? Like, to me, I thought that was a reach.
But I think
that's why I was confused.
All of this is about compromise. So for him, he got less games, but he's going to take the PR hit with the really scathing article. I think the reverse could have been maybe she was lighter, but maybe it got more games. Like, this to me is all compromise, because to your point, it doesn't really make sense. The way in which it's written dictated at least half the season, right? As a starting point. And so I feel like there was an overcorrection on the amount of games that favors really everyone's interest. If the NFL is being honest, the sooner they can get Deshaun out there and the Cleveland is better, it's better for the league. It's better for ticket sales. But we were harsh on this. She was lenient, but a write-up to let you know that we weren't wrong in our thinking. I think it's really a win for everybody. And Deshaun just has to take the 6-game hit, and maybe he looks worse. But I think you just let it go. Like, we're done. You move on. The precedent is set. Nobody's really happy, which is the sign of a good negotiation. And I think you go into the season and you hopefully have something that will quickly distract people away from this situation. Dev, did you have anything you want to add?
Nah, I got to do some more research on it before I can really comment anymore on it.
Let me ask you this question, Ray. Do you think, though, that the fact that the NFL still has that hammer with the appeal with Roger Goodell, do you think that they would not try to execute that portion of his power?
But that was my question to you, is because he works for the owners, do the owners want him to go extra hard, because their players could be in this very same position and they would be working towards a precedent that would be maybe detrimental? So for self-preservation, do we really want a sexual assault to be 12 games? That's why I'm saying I don't think they're going to push him for it. I think they'd rather just try and get it to go away.
Yeah, it's possible. But on the other hand,
it starts dragging into the season.
Okay. Yeah, and I was just going to say, on the other hand, you might get some, self-righteous owners where they want to feel like they come on the right side of this issue and try to curry favor with the with the female fans, and and stand on that side and try to stand behind them and try to be the moral authority in the situation. So I think it's possible you can see that
from an NFL owner really to this date.
Yeah.
So could that exist?
But there's money, you know, where there's money involved in fans and trying to cater
Kenny,
to
we
another
just saw
market.
what the Cowboys were valued at. With all this going on, we just saw what the Cowboys are valued at. Every team's $2.6 billion, and we know that they would get more than that. So, is this really going to move the needle? I don't think they think so. And the longer it drags out, it just becomes a bigger thing. I don't see why they would do that to themselves. They have an easy out. Just take the win. But that's just me. My next question is, given the, by most people's perception, light sentencing, do you think there are executives around the league that are upset that they did not go get Deshaun if they knew it would only cost them 6 games? I'll start with you, Kenny.
Yeah, yeah, without question. I think that they were all thinking that the hammer was coming down, and that's what caused them to back off. So I think a lot of, especially Atlanta, is one of those teams. I think that they're kicking themselves for not, going in and trying to make this happen. And you know, I think Cleveland, we saw that Cleveland basically went with both feet in and kind of, showed that level of desperation by fully guaranteeing his contract. So they kind of basically blew everybody else's, even if but I think even if they did pursue that, the fact that offer that Cleveland put out there, that was blowing everybody else out of the water. I don't think they would have, even if they did try to put it in, I don't think anybody else was willing to go that far to fully guarantee his contract. Even having said that other teams would have been looking or trying to make it happen, perhaps.
Yeah, and I would be curious to know who drove that conversation. Was that a Deshaun saying, this is where we know the market's going, this is my worth? Or Cleveland was just like overcompensating, like, we got you.
I think Cleveland was overcompensated.
Yeah, that's my thinking. Because nobody else has ever made that type of. Well, yeah I should say, nobody else has ever fully guaranteed.
Kirk Cousins, but he didn't have that much money.
It was like 3 years or something.
Yeah.
So now this was definitely next level money.
I know Miami is probably upset because they was in that deal for like 2 years trying to get Deshaun Watson down there with even down there with Brian Flores. So I know Miami is most definitely kicking themselves because they didn't fully believe in Tua. That's why they went out there and got Tyreek.
Good now. Tua throwing them bombs, boy.
He throwing bombs now. He's saying Waddle can fly now, penguins can fly now, and all this other stuff. So got a penguin and cheetah.
Call them the Waffle House. They said they open 24 hours.
We'll see.
We're gonna see. That's what Drake said. We're gonna see. So slightly off the Deshaun topic, but still on topic. Just quick, because fantasy football is coming. If you are a fantasy owner, do you draft Deshaun, and if so, where? I'll start with you, Dev.
I don't play fantasy football no more, but why not? Yeah, you might as well go ahead and draft him. If this 6-game actually hold up, you're now looking that he's coming back like what? October, mid-October somewhere. And it's going to be against my Ravens also. That's what the speculation is going to be so far. And Deshaun Watson, yeah, that'll be a good game. We'll see. But Deshaun Watson, as far as football-wise, he was arguably one of the best quarterbacks, during that time a couple years ago. He was arguably trying to be a MVP candidate and everything. He was bringing Houston least relevant to that AFC South just a little bit. It wasn't, they had some bad teams and they also had some good players too. I just think they just had bad coaching during that time with Deshaun Watson and JJ Watt and all of them was down there. So Deshaun, like I said, Deshaun Watson is still a great football player. It's just as outside of football, you just want to put a question mark on him. But I would draft him first round, honestly. Just to have him.
Wow. Okay.
Well, I don't know if I would do that, but I will say that I would pick him as a second quarterback. That would be a definite. Like
He's going
I
to
don't know
get
if he.
picked up quick, though. I guarantee you, he's going to get picked up
Well,
quick.
I'm sure he's going to get picked up, but I think from a fantasy perspective, not having him for 6 weeks, you have to. He has to be your second quarterback. He can't be your first quarterback because you basically get nothing for the first 6 weeks. So you gotta pick somebody else, I think, as your first quarterback, and then you would pick him as your second. But I definitely think people are going to be drafting him as their second quarterback for sure.
Okay. Well, we will see. I am with Lane to take him. That offense seems prime for him to be successful. So no, I think he's definitely valuable if you can get him later on. I'm not taking him super early, but I definitely see the value there. But we talked about it in the group chat a little bit. Cleveland opens the season pretty light, not too heavy of a schedule. Assuming that this holds up, what do you think this means for Cleveland? Like, do you envision them being a playoff team at this point, or do you think they'll lose too many of these games early on? I'll start with you, Kenny.
I think that this gives them a chance to still be able to be a playoff contender because I think because of this schedule, I think at worst they'll be 2-4, maybe 3-3, 4-2, somewhere around there. They could be anywhere in those two as long as I think as long as they're no worse than 2-4, they'll still have a chance to be able to make a playoff run. Because again, besides Cincinnati, we really got questions in terms of the rest of that North Division. No disrespect there, but
with you.
Yeah, so I think that they could weather the storm, and then also, I think that they got a solid quarterback that they could put in there for those first 6 games. It's not going to lose you games. He's going to manage the game. He's going to take care of the ball. And I think he's going to keep them, competitive. So I think it's just enough, and especially with that schedule where it doesn't hurt them too bad.
So here's my issue, and why I disagree. And I think this puts them out of the playoffs. Is it's not those first 6 I'm worried about. But as soon as he comes back, it's at Ravens, it's Bengals at home.
Oh no, it gets rough.
At Buffalo, Tampa comes to town. You do go to Houston, then you go to Cincy, then the Ravens come in, then the Saints come in, and then the Commanders and Steelers. I just think there's a ton of pressure on Deshaun to hit the ground running. Oh, yeah. And I just think by the time they really get going, that AFC West is too deep for you to be at 9-8. I don't think 9-8 is going to get it in. So I think if they're not 4-2, 5-1, I think they find themselves on the outside looking in. Dev, your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm with you, Ray. It's going to be a tough outing in that AFC. It's most definitely in the AFC West because they could potentially have 3 teams that can represent them in the playoffs. And then the North, Cincinnati, we got to see if their offensive line can keep Joe Burrow up. The Ravens are going in with a new defensive coordinator, and the little speculation around it, when Lamar's contract is going to get done. So Cleveland got a chance to actually be on top, but the thing about it is, like, the AFC North can flip quick. 1 minute Cincinnati can be up there for 2 weeks, and then the Ravens can be up there for 2 weeks, and then Cleveland can make their way, then Pittsburgh. It always a flip-flop up in the AFC North. That's why I like to say it's one of the most competitive divisions in my eyes in the NFL, because you never know. You can't really crown the champ in that division, really. You have to pretty much wait until like the last couple of weeks of the season to see who's going to win that North. And Deshaun Watson, he's going to have a tough time, like Ray said, coming out. As soon as you come in the gate running, you have all those playoff type teams. New Orleans, Tampa Bay, the Ravens, Steelers twice, Cincinnati twice. So if you're already going through your opponent, your division opponents already, it's going to be tough for Deshaun.
So that kind of brings
I
me to
think the best thing is we're gonna find out right away that.
Oh yeah, for sure. So that actually that kind of brings me to the next point is obviously he's been away for a while. He's going to be coming back into some hostile situations early, and he's going to have to deal with the fanfare and all that's going to come with that, especially in the first game on the road. Like, I'm sure to be nationally televised, like it's going to be probably big time. So, with that being said, what kind of year do you expect from Deshaun Watson?
I can see it up and down struggling year. I don't really see him come out the gate and become Deshaun Watson as we once seen before. I think he's gonna have an up and down year. I think we're gonna see some games of like, oh, that's Deshaun Watson we've been waiting for. There's gonna be some games like, oh yeah, that's that year and a half rust off right there. We're gonna let him get him a pass on that. So I most definitely see an up and down season for him. I don't really see an MVP season from him this year. Because then you gotta think he also coming to a new system too that you gotta learn and try to pick up, and then you getting thrown in the middle of the season. So it's gonna be a roller coaster for the him and Cleveland Browns.
Kenny?
Yeah, I agree. I think you're going to see a lot of inconsistency because to Devin's point, that you got a new system, you got to establish chemistry, with their receivers, and then you go from training camp to having to basically sit for 6 weeks. Although I know they said he could practice, but I'm sure Jacoby Brissett is going to be getting all the first team reps because he's going to be the one that's going to be on the field. So, that whatever momentum or whatever chemistry that you created during the preseason, I think that's going to kind of be lost to some degree. And something I thought about, I think it's be interesting to see, does he play a lot in the preseason just because one, he's been out for a year and he hasn't seen the field, and two, so that he could try to establish as much chemistry and get knock as much of the rust off as possible, because like to your point, he had to come in and hit the ground running once he gets back on the field.
Do you think that preseason going to hinder him now?
I don't know. I think I don't know if necessarily will hinder him. I think it all depends on how they utilize him, because I think that I think they're going to try to put him on the field as much as possible. Normally we only see them for that 1/3 game, for that dress rehearsal game. You only get a few snaps in those first 2 preseason games. But I wouldn't be surprised if he plays a lot in this preseason.
And that's what I was getting to. You said building chemistry, because like that first preseason game is mainly your second and third string is right. Pretty much getting all the bumps. So do you think he should build chemistry with the team, period, or he should most definitely be out there with the ones?
I think they have to give him a little more time than they would normally give. You would normally give your starter, just because he's going to be out for so long. And then also for the other point, to your point, that he's in a new system. So you want to try to get some familiarity, to be as familiar as possible with running the offense because again, once the preseason is over, then he's going to have to take a back seat, because Brissett's going to have to get all of the, most majority of the snaps.
Fair enough. And I know they did say so far he's been taking the majority of the snaps with the ones. So he does seem to be trying to get more reps in. Obviously, it'll be a tough balance because Brissett, you do want him to get the reps, but you also got to make sure that Watson gets as much as you can. So I agree with you, Kenny. I think he's going to play a lot in preseason, since that's probably the most time he's going to get live action for someone else. And I don't know, with COVID, are they still doing the inter squad practices, or is everybody going to be separated?
I think there's only one. I think they're only doing one, because I know that I remember I read that the Jets and Giants are doing it. So I think they are doing it this year. But I don't know now that you see people catch a COVID, so they may have a second thought on that.
Gotcha. Dev, did you want to add anything else?
No, I'm good.
Okay. And to Damien's point, I think that's the only reason you do appeal. Is for Goodell to add a longer sentence. I don't think you would appeal.
Yeah, there's no way they don't appeal if they don't plan to give him a longer. suspension.
Yeah.
It's just that'd be a waste of time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So receivers keep getting paid. Debo, who is a wide back, has got himself a fancy new deal.
He's a what?
That's what they call it, though.
They call it the wide back. And if he fulfills the back part of that, he can make, I think, almost an additional $2 million. And the numbers aren't that high, so he may want to shoot for those, get that extra money. But what does this mean for San Francisco? They get the deal done. They still have Jimmy G on the roster, but they've made it very clear who the quarterback of the future is. They've locked up a weapon for him.
Quarterback damn, ain't no future.
For the foreseeable future, yeah.
Gotcha.
So what do we think of San Francisco? Do we think this was the right deal for this situation? Did they overpay? I'll start with you, Kenny.
I think they had to make this deal, like, because he's, besides Kittle's, he's their most important weapon. I love George Kittle's, but he's their most important weapon. He makes that offense go. So they had to, and especially with, you're starting a young quarterback, like he's going to need that safety net of being able to use Debo and all those different options, and running the ball and the sprints, the screens and all of that different stuff of how to utilize him. They needed that, so I think they had to do that deal. But I will say this, that I think that my fear is he's going to wind up one of those guys that gets overused and it kind of shortens his prime. So with the running backs, the whether it's your Jamal Andersons, whether recently DeMarco Murray, people like that, where they get overutilized and it causes their prime to be short, and that's my only concern.
Okay, Dev,
my man getting that money. Like, golly, boy. I swear, boy, every time we do a breaking news about somebody getting paid, boy, it's just like, damn, man, what was we doing? But that's what's up for Devo. But you had to pay that man that type of money because, like Kenny said, he is the most important player on your whole offense. And I think Jimmy G was the reason he wanted out. I think once San Francisco finally made that decision to go with Trey Lance, that's when that whole Debo wanting to leave San Francisco kind of died down a little bit. And next thing you know, he signed that big contract. So I think it's a good move for San Francisco. I think it keeps San Francisco team alive in that NFC West because I don't think Jimmy G was that quarterback that can kind of get you there. I just think Jimmy G was holding you back. Now, I'm not saying that Trey Lance is going to automatically put him in a Super Bowl spot because he's going to hit some young guys' strides. He's not going to get you there just yet. But I think Trey Lance kind of at least opened San Francisco up, playbook up a little bit better than Jimmy G. And, that'll kind of open up more for Debo. So I think San Francisco did a good move.
Question for both of y'all, and you can answer in whichever order you like. Trey Lance, who was a better quarterback you think to start? Trey Lance or RG3?
Dang.
Hey, Derek.
Can I say neither? Because I don't know, man. Because RG3 only had that to me. He only had that.
He won Rookie of the Year and took his team to the playoffs.
Yeah, but to me in college, I didn't see what was the hype for RG3. He just had those couple games. He didn't have a whole year where RG3 was like, he's that quarterback.
He was a dog in college.
I say towards the end of his last year, I say RG3 made a name for himself, but I think I take RG3. I take it.
I think it's RG3. and I don't think it's that close.
But we haven't seen Trey Lance.
I understand that. I'm just telling you what I saw. Obviously, out here.
Yeah,
and you know, whatever Ray sees, Ray is right.
And he went for his mans in them.
I'm simply saying I got to see it up close. And
you also seen your man Kareem get real up close too.
RG3 never had a Debo. Like he had a Jordan Reed that never stayed healthy, but he ain't have a Debo. And so I think Lance, he's not as good of a quarterback, but I do think they will incorporate a similar system to highlight his strengths. And I think Debo will be a huge part of that. So although I think they got a worse, I think Shanahan probably is maybe the worst quarterback of his career. He also can do a lot with him that I think will remain to be seen if it'll translate into wins long term. But I'm not a huge fan of him yet. So I want him to be good, but I don't know yet.
Kenny, who you picking? RG3 or Trey Lance?
I can't even. I have never seen Trey Lance play, so I can't. Right, of course, you got to go RG3 right now, but I don't even think this is a fair question because we haven't really seen. We've seen him just in spot duty, so we don't.
I just think Ray wanted to throw RG3 inside the.
Yeah, he wanted to show him some love, so I get it.
Because I don't even like a lot of RG3 anymore. I was glad when he got up out of there. He's done a lot in his retirement too that I don't really care for. But I'm just saying Shanahan had them both. I think they have similar skill sets, but different builds. So I was just curious y'all thoughts.
But to be fair though, let me ask y'all this question: Who do you think is the better offensive mind, the father or the son?
I'm gonna go with Pop. Pop, please got a Super Bowl out of it.
Well, I'm gonna lean Pop because I think he's influenced a lot of what Kyle does. So I got to get a credit to the blueprint. You can improve on it, but you know.
Well, I was gonna say you would give it to Pops based off of the recipe, but I think that Kyle has done more with less. Like Shanahan, for most of his time, he had John Elway. He had Terrell Davis, Shannon Sharp. List goes on and on. Who could we talk about in San Francisco?
But can you fault?
He did have
San
some great
Francisco
pieces
GM?
in Atlanta, but I'm talking about with San Francisco. He made more.
Blew that Atlanta.
Yeah, he did. He did. It's crazy. Dude's already been in two Super Bowls. He's like in his late 20s or something like that.
Nepotism at its no, I'm just kidding. He's good. But we do want to transition a little bit to kind of a surreal, sad moment. The passing of the great Bill Russell did occur over, I believe, the weekend, and obviously we at ASAP want to send our thoughts and prayers to the family. He passed away peacefully. We just talked about our top 10, and I think he was in everybody's, if I remember correctly. But just kind of hearing some of the stories today. Obviously, I'm younger, so I didn't get to see it. I only get to really hear about it occasionally. But just to hear more about what he did on the court, off the court, and really on the court. I don't know that he gets enough credit for his on-the-court accomplishments outside of just winning. But his athleticism, his overall ability, offensively, that he could have done more. And we talk about, especially in today's NBA, players that can get their own shot, but can they elevate their team? And he was kind of the epitome of that in bringing out his teammate strength. So definitely shout out to him, but did want to just give a moment if there's a Bill Russell memory or thought that y'all wanted to share. Just wanted to open it up for that.
Yeah, I'm like you, Ray. I didn't really watch too much Bill Russell, but the highlights that I did see when he was playing with the Celtics, man, it looked like it was a man against boys sometimes when he was playing. Um, so and then he also was very close to one of my favorite basketball players of all time, which is Kobe Bryant. Him and Kobe had shared the nice moment, one of Kobe last year,
Yeah,
and it was pretty cool. Kobe called him like the Godfather of basketball, stuff like that, and like you said, Bill Russell didn't get a lot of credit to like today's NBA people, give him his recognition and stuff like that. I had a young guy at my job today. I asked him, "Do he know anything about Bill Russell?" And the first thing that popped in his mind was, "That's the guy with like 13 rings or something, right?" I was like, "Dang, yeah, that's what's up." For you to know that off Brick, and I think he's about 25 or something like that. So I know he didn't watch Bill Russell, but for him to know that at an early age, that's what's up. That lets you know that his legacy still touch people later in the years.
Yeah, and I think for me, not on the on the court legacy, but I think the off the court legacy. I think that guys like LeBron James and these guys of today that have been showing their the between the player empowerment and then also standing up for different issues, Kyrie Irvings of the world. I think they're standing on his shoulders, and he gave them the blueprint in terms of how to stand for what's right. And so I think that he's just the ultimate. He's just a great man, just in every way, shape, or form. Like in every area of his life, he was great. There's not too many people that you could say that about. In every area of his life, he excelled. He was great, and that he did what was right, and he stood for what was right. So I just think his impact, both on and off the court, is unmatched and unrivaled. And he lived a full life. He lived a great life, and he, I'm sure he's resting in peace. So, all I can think, this is it's just a celebration of a great man.
And the last thing, and kind of half joking, we see athletes today all the time requesting trades because they're not happy where they are. When you talk about Bill Russell and the environment he had to play in his hometown, in his home city, and what he had to deal with, and he just suffered through it quietly, in a motivating way. Like, it just kind of puts into perspective, players getting fans thrown out of games today for some of the things that are being said versus what others had to go through not that long ago. You're talking maybe a generation. So just powerful to hear and see. And just a man of integrity. And speaking of integrity, the New York Knicks seemingly will be held responsible for their tampering. Kenny, I just wanted to know.
The Sixers, don't just leave us out there. The Sixers too.
Well, the Sixers there's a report there. It seems like they're still under investigation. It seems like y'all are on the verge of the discipline. And I just wanted to know if you had more thoughts on this breaking news for your Knicks. And
this is for the Jalen Brunson?
Would be?
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna take if I'm Leon Rose, if I'm Jim Dolan, or Royce and the crew, I'm taking a page out of Nino Brown. If I'm going down, I'm taking down a whole lot of other people with me because there ain't no way.
It's bigger than Nino.
It's bigger than me. we're not gonna be the only ones to catch a bullet for this, man. Because this is going on throughout the league. So if we're gonna do this, then we're gonna have to open it up to everybody because it's not right if it's just gonna be us. Not saying that we innocent, of course not. I'm not being naive here, but I'm saying that this can't be the only one that you're going to punish. If the Knicks are gonna get punished, we gotta see some other teams get punished too. I'm sorry.
And Philly was for PJ Tucker.
Yeah, for James Harden, basically.
Taking
that pay cut.
Yeah.
Okay. So I
Ain't
guess
it's crazy that the Knicks finally get a guy, the guy that they were searching for. You know, that was their plan A, and they finally executed their plan A.
Every year, I can't. It's countless names. We could go all the way back to LeBron James. Every year, every time there was a target for the Knicks, we never got him. And then finally, the one target we got, and we ain't even talking about no. You know what I'm saying? We're not talking about no. I mean, no disrespect to Jalen Brunson, but we're not talking about a James Harden. We're not talking about a Kevin Durant, that type of guy. He's a really good player, but why are we doing this for him?
I don't know.
Seems like the Knicks can never get things. We're gonna start on the Knicks can't get right.
Can't get
this
right.
Is because of the ownership. The same problem we got in DC. It's bad something because of the ownership.
Yep.
We got to get rid of these jokers.
Bad juice, bad karma, whatever you want to call it.
All of that, man. This is silly.
Can you know I just realized, Kenny, man, your ownerships on both of your teams are just suspect, man. Like, I don't know what's up with your owners, man. You got Jerry Jones, you got Dolan, like, golly. Hey, Kenny, Jerry, man, look, Jones, me and Ray is going to give out an application to you, right?
Hey, wait, hold on.
Hold
on. I got one better for you. In baseball, I'm a
you ain't letting them join your team.
I had Steinbrenner before that. So I've never been able to catch
but George was getting them dubs. He was crazy, but he was
just saying, though, he was crazy, though, when I was younger. Like, he was crazy till they finally suspended him. That's when he got out the way.
And Damian, let me just update you. They don't care nothing about Danielle House, just so we're clear.
Yeah, we ain't nobody.
Nobody tripping off that.
It's about that PJ Tucker.
Yeah. Those first two names I'll give you. That last one, save you.
I ain't even know Danielle House was even on that team.
Yeah, he was the last. He was the last piece.
And so, speaking of teams and trying to make moves. The Washington Wizards are on the verge of.
You can't even say it without smiling.
Easily the New York Knicks in the hierarchy here in the Eastern Conference.
Wait, what?
If the Wizards get Colin Sexton, they will be a better team than the New York Knicks.
Hey, you know what they say about if?
You're right.
What they say?
You are right.
What they say?
But that is the premise in which I'm having this discussion. And y'all better watch out. They might ban y'all or something. I don't know. They got to get y'all right for cheating.
Man, they're going to give us a little fine and Dolan to write that.
They're going to lose y'all first round draft pick.
Yeah, he get that change from his couch.
No, man.
Man, he got change like that in his couch?
And Dolan? I really needed Chris here for some fair commentary, non-biased. But in the event that Colin Sexton was to go to Washington, Dev, does that make Washington a playoff team in your opinion?
No, don't get me wrong. I like Shorty game. I like him. Y'all got a nice, decent little team down there. But I don't think that's the guy that can. If Russ,
my team's better than your team.
My team has more championships than your team. But anywho,
we ain't talking about that.
Hold on. Washington. Hold on. Before we get that, Washington is the Baltimore hand-me-down. We gave y'all the Washington team. They was the Baltimore Bullets at first. You know, so we gave.
I probably could have kept y'all team.
If we didn't have that name, Bullets, probably, we probably could have kept that team. But we gave y'all that team, so.
Like I said, we respect the blueprint, and then you just improve on it.
Well, y'all improved that. Y'all ain't win no championship.
Hey, we improved on having the team. What basketball team y'all got? The Baltimore what's?
The
Ghosts.
You can go ahead, Kenny. This guy just disrespecting. He He disrespectful just because I said his team ain't a playoff team. Saxon ain't gonna do nothing.
Oh, they made the playoffs either.
To be fair, let's not get carried away.
I guess none of us can talk then, because none of our teams made the playoffs on this panel. Then
no, that is a fact. But I was saying that it improves your team, no question about it. But let's not get carried away. Like we could. Colin Sexton got a little rust in him, so let's not act like he's going to come in here and just be the guy that's going to be setting guys up and is going to be, you know what I mean, running the show and making sure getting guys involved.
He's going to be
Colin Sexton be getting to that. He be getting to that bucket. He be getting to the. He wants to get his points. So it's going to be an adjustment. It's going to have to be.
Beal, Kispert.
You got to get some. Again, you got to have, but you got. He's going to have to adjust. He's going to have to adjust his game. He's going to have to adjust his game because to make sure that all of those guys eat. Otherwise, they're going to be looking at him sideways while he's trying to do his thing, and they waiting for him to finish to come up off that ball before they could get
and Marcus Morris
a piece of the pie.
I hear you.
I'm just saying, let's not
to calm things down.
Man, you is calling a lot of names out here, man.
Oh no, we did trade Ishmael.
Ishmael.
Either way,
I think it does make you better, but I think you got to. There's questions in terms of how the chemistry is going to work because you got the same situation to that Dev dealt with Russ in terms of guys not being able to play as well with Colin Sexton.
Wes Unseld Jr. got us taken care of. We're gonna be good to go.
Okay,
you're gonna get us right.
Okay,
DC stand up. New York, protect your neck.
Not for
coming.
Not for Colin Sexton. Don't stand up for him.
Red and blue skies, right. Everything is wonderful in Washington.
Right as rain. So we did talk about this previously, heavier topic, but we do want to just kind of give an update on the Brittany Griner situation. Definitely want to make sure that it gets its proper attention. By all accounts, we have agreed to swap 2 people for their 1. I know we kind of talked about the exchange in the past, and I'm not sure what's holding it up at this present moment, but kind of just your reaction on do you guys think this is the right decision?
Hold on. So question real quick before you ask your question. Is it the Soldier and Brittany Griner that's getting exchanged for the arms dealer? Okay.
That's my understanding.
Okay. I wasn't sure. That's why I asked.
So just 1, do you think that was the right decision? And 2, what message do you think this sends? And could this potentially put more Americans on travel at risk?
Who you starting with?
Whoever, Dev, you can go. Anyone first.
It's great that Brittany's coming home. It's great that she's finally coming home. But now it's going to open up I think it's going to open up a door to where if you get in trouble outside of overseas or outside the U.S. Soil, is everybody going to look for this deal now? Is everybody going to be looking to do a trade? For whatever the country wants, anything in that nature, that's my only fear of it being opened up. But I'm glad that she's coming home. It sucks that she had to sit there that long, just for a cartridge. I understand that different country, different rules. You gotta abide by wherever you go to, but I just think that was just a harsh punishment for her. And I'm just glad that she's coming.
Cool, Kenny.
Yeah, I agree. It's unfortunate that she's become a political pawn. Like basically, to me, this says to me that this is the exact reason why Russia did what they did. Like this was the end game in terms of why they did what they did with her. They realized that they used a high profile sports figure to basically be a political pawn for them to be able to get their arms dealer back onto their soil. So I'm just it's just I'm disappointed. It's sad in the sense that she had to be used in that way. But I'm glad that I agree with that. I'm glad she's going to be able to come home. She'll be able to be with her family, be able to, hopefully be able to resume her career and resume her season with the Phoenix Mercury. But I wonder, does this now do guys or both guys and men and women, are they now hesitant to go over to Russia to play international basketball? Because it's not just women that play over there, there's men that play over there as well. So I'm wondering if this is going to be a fallout to where guys are now going to, and ladies are not going to want to play over there, and they're going to decline opportunities over there to play in other countries.
Yeah, that will be interesting. I think right now most people are probably just being quiet until she's back home. But I will be curious to know kind of the response to all of this. And to your point, whether it be, I don't think the Olympics, I don't know if the Olympics have said anything, or if Russia, I think Russia's banned just for the Ukraine thing, maybe from the World Cup or something. But I think, I'm not sure. I don't want to speak incorrectly. I obviously wouldn't go over there as a player. I think that'd be foolish, but I just don't know if the sports world collectively will kind of take that stance with Russia as a country. I guess is more so what I'll be curious to see going forward, given they used an athlete for this reason.
Mm-hmm.
So will be interesting to see. And other non-LeBron news, but LeBron news, his son had a growth spurt of growth spurts. Kenny, as a coach, what happens? How have you seen this kind of jump in a player? Because it seems like a huge jump in such a short amount of time.
Mm-hmm. I'll give you another example. Dad's guy, Anthony Davis, when he was in ninth grade, he was only like 6'1" or 6'2" or something like that. So between his 10th and 11th grade years, he went from 6'2" to like 6'9", 6'10". So this is definitely something that growth spurts are definitely something that happens, and you kind of see it's in his gene pool because LeBron is 6'8", and Bronny, they say Bronny is 6'3", so he's not like he's short either. But normally, sometimes that's what happens with where the younger ones wind up being taller than the older ones. But I think we got to wait and see how he adapts to the size. Sometimes, when you have those growth spurts and things like that, you got issues with your knees and you're dealing with knee pain and soreness and things of that nature. So we got to see how he adapts to that size, because I know not last year, but the year before, we got a kid at my school. He's 6'8", and when he was going through his growth spurt, he was having a lot of problems with his knees and dealing with tendonitis and things like that, and it was affecting his play on the court. So it's going to be interesting to see how he's able to adapt to that, how that size, that growth spurt affects him on the court on this upcoming year. Because I don't think he's done, because he's just 16. So I think he's still going to get a couple more inches before it's all said and done. So it's going to see, we'll see how he adapts to his body and how he adjusts to, playing at that size, because, like you said, he was a little shorter. He was only about 5'10", 5'11", 6 feet. So he's going to have to adapt and adjust. And so we'll see. I think we got to wait and see in terms of his future, because this is going to be his first year even playing varsity basketball. So we really got to wait and see. I mean, he's showing some signs. You can see that he's getting better. Watching some clips and some things of games that he's played over the summer, you can see that he's improving, that he is getting better. But I think we got to wait to see whether long term what his future is going to be.
Okay. Dev, any thoughts?
Man, I'm just jealous. Like, sheesh, man, I'm just jealous. At the age of 16, I wish I can shoot up like that. But I always said I could be dangerous if I was 6 foot, man. Just let me touch 6 feet. 5'11", whatever, anything in that nature. But to be going from 5'10" to 6'6", man, like, whew, that is a mean growth spurt. And like Kenny said, man, we got to see how he adapt to it. And if he can adapt to it, and we all know it's only going to be one LeBron. But if you can kind of be like your dad-ish a little bit and the turn, just because of his size and how he can take over a game, so he might be dangerous because he might be about 6'9" when it's all done. Close to maybe 7 foot, maybe. You never know. So I'm just jealous. I wish I had a mean growth spurt like that when I was 16.
Yeah, you ain't lying. Definitely didn't happen on my side. I'm still on the 5'6", 5'7" height range. So good luck to my kids. Yeah, I'm a mini me man.
Yeah, I'm only like 5'8", 5'9".
Oh yeah. Oh man.
Yeah, sure.
It's funny that same mine happened when I was 16 too. But I only got to 6'2". So
I took that. I'm jealous of you right now too, man.
It hurts, man. Your knees is always constantly hurting, and
right.
You're going through that growth. It sucks, but so I that's why I said it's gonna be interesting to see how he, how he feels into his body or how he adjusts to his body. But let's not sleep on Bronny though. Bronny's a hooper.
Oh yeah.
A lot of people, everybody's talking about Bryce, but let's not sleep on Bronny. Bronny is coming.
Oh yeah, he's most definitely making a name for himself.
Clock's ticking. That's all I'm saying.
Well,
clock's ticking.
So
that's what I'm saying. Clock's ticking. That's all I'm saying.
Do you want to know who else is making a name for themselves? Carmelo's son. I don't know if y'all had been watching him play some of his games. Carmelo's son got a little game, and he also had a little growth spurt too.
Yeah, and he only going to the 10th grade.
Dang, really?
Yeah. So
I didn't know he was that.
Yeah, he going to the 10th. He just finished 9th. But let me ask you this, Ray. So you're not impressed with Bronny?
No, I'm not. I don't think he knows what he wants to be at his height and size. I don't see a definitive aspect of his game yet. I think he's still evolving into that, but at that rate, he's going to be like a point guard. And I don't see great point guard in him yet. Obviously, his dad is a phenomenal passer. So I think the IQ will be there. I think he's explosive. So that's good. But I definitely need to see more consistency out of his jump shot. And then I got to see it against top talent. So when he gets in, because if he got G League or something like that, if he went the G League route over or one and done, then I think that would be more valuable for me just to kind of evaluate him. But I don't know. That's just kind of where I'm at. I've seen glimpses, but I need to see it at a consistently high level, and I haven't seen that yet.
Do you think he should take the route LaMelo took, where he went overseas early and all that stuff, instead of going to college?
Nah, not when you're LeBron's son. Like, you can get the greatest of everything here. Ain't no sense in sending him over there, and education still important. So I think if he was he's either going to go G League or he's going to go to college.
Right.
I think if they didn't have the Ignite situation, that might have been a possibility. But because they have the Ignite thing going on, and then even also they got this Overtime Elite 2 where they're
yeah.
So it's a couple of options here in the States that these guys can pursue. So I think that's I don't think we're going to see much of that anymore in terms of guys having to go overseas and play.
Yeah, I would agree. So yeah, no, I am excited. I will hope, obviously, that everything goes well, and that he continues to improve. I just not sure just yet, but time will tell. In relation to boxing, we had I was excited. This was a good fight weekend for me. I watched the 3 Showtime. I think it was Showtime. Yeah, it was Showtime. 3 fights over there. Left a little disappointed in one of the fights, but the other 2.
Oh, you talking about that? What was the second
Gary
fight?
Russell.
No, the first one.
Russell, that was the first. Okay, yeah.
Terrible.
They stopped that one way too early.
Oh my gosh.
Awful. Way too early. And so this is a question that's come up for me, and I know that boxing is kind of what's the word I want to use? Boxing has been slow to evolve in a lot of ways. They're trying to do more with like technology, but the sport is the sport to a certain extent. But in situations like that, and it's really hard to undo it. It's not like baseball or football, especially if it's a knockout or you think someone's stunned. But should there be like a challenge or something that we can do to kind of fix some of these bad stoppages, because they're happening a little too frequently? Or what do you guys think can be done to address that?
That's interesting. That challenge is an interesting concept. I think that might be something that they might need to look into.
But I think that would slow it down to me, in my opinion. Because once in between rounds, you only get like 30 seconds to take in between those rounds. So
yeah, but I think it would only relate to the knockouts in terms of the stoppages. At least that's
right. So when you knock a person, so say if you knock him down, you potentially get a knock, or the fight stop. You slow it down a little bit just because you want to challenge that. Now, do you, after you say you win the challenge, to say no, it's not a knockout, not a knockdown, do you continue to fight? Like, how do you get the fight ramped back up again? You know what I mean? Like that's just my I can't see it yet, because you stop the fight. Say if you stop the fight for 3 minutes just to see, can this guy be able to fight again? Can is he should the fight stop? Was the fight stoppage too early? Stuff like that is like, how do you throw them back out into the ring to say, all right, let's do it again after you then kind of slow the momentum down somewhat?
And that's why I said I think it's hard when it's a knockout situation. And I don't know, maybe if there's like a what's the word? A commission that it got to be quick. It has to be quick. But
I would say, why can't you, if it's a challenge, why can't you involve like the fight doctor to have them come and do a quick, just like they do when they're checking them to make sure if they can continue. Like, why can't it be that same thing? Because like in the beginning, in the between rounds, when they have these types of situations like that.
Yeah, they'll have them come out and then stop and then have them checked. So I guess you could have that, or I don't want to go as far as to say only a doctor can stop the fight. But I don't know, man. Like that was it was a good fight.
Yeah, man, I'm just thinking maybe if you put if it's a challenge, if it's a challenge or whatever the signal is, whatever the case may be, then once the judge or the referee determines that he wants to stop the fight, then you just bring the doctor in there, you do a quick once over, and say yes or no. It's got to be quick, because to Devin's point, like you're taking away the fighter's advantage of buzzing the guy, like to be able to try to finish him off. So it's got to be something that, if it is something that they do, it has to be quick.
Right.
Yeah, super quick, man. Because you see how.
But they stop. They don't take,
because it don't take that much to bring the doc in. But it don't take that much to make somebody woozy, though. You know what I mean? So you can, that one clean hit, that you can get them woozy in there, and then, but we seen fights where guys get woozy and knocked down, and then at the end, by like the 8th or 10th round, now these guys have already caught their second win and wound up winning the match.
Right. No, I definitely agree. I think I think if the fighters in the ring were honest, when that happens, they're not happy with that outcome. Even the one that benefits from it. And now the issue is like Gary Russell's trying to really advance his career. Now we got to potentially have a rematch with somebody I was up on the cards and likely was going to beat. But now because of this overaction, now I got to potentially be my career takes a hit. Like it might got to be put on pause where I could have been fighting for a title next. Like I just think the key is to get it right. Obviously, we're all in agreement. You got to get it right fast. But this is starting to really mess some stuff up, and I'm tired of seeing it. And I don't know if it's like the Super Bowl or the NBA where they get deductions or somebody's reviewing these fights and maybe they can get suspended. But that was just egregious on every level.
Yeah, maybe these refs may have to go through some more training to understand if the guy woozy or not, because that guy didn't show no type of like stop the fight. You know, you have to stop the fight. The guy got up, you know what I mean? He took his deep breaths, he followed the ref's commands, and the ref just kind of like did a little second glance at his eyes, was like, yeah, he's done. It's over.
He was like, way more steadier in his feet than Rolly was, that's for sure.
Way more steady.
And I just implement a rule. Hey, if the dude give you his gloves and you ask him, is he okay? And he say yes, let the man fight. And now if he gets knocked down, stop it once he's back down.
Right.
If a fighter's telling you I'm good, that should be enough. And if the corner stop it or he get knocked down or it's a barrage, then you step in.
Jump in there.
But not even give him a chance once he's gotten up. That part got to be fixed. That part is just sickening. Especially for an older fighter in this situation. Like this was one of his last moments. And and if they fight again in 6 months, his body could be completely different. So yeah, man, it's unfortunate, but hopefully they'll do something to address it.
But you know what, you gotta, I think, get those commissions, to your point, Ray, because you know they do it with the judges where these judges sometimes where they get these egregious or these bad scorecards, they wind up, you know, sitting them down. So it might be a situation to where they got to do the same thing with these referees when if they're, you know, doing these premature stoppages, then they're going to have to be sit down or, you know, downgraded, or to Dev's point, or whatever the case may be, where you got to, you know, sit for a minute. You're not getting any big fights whereas you will maybe get Showtime fights and things like that. You got to go back down to, I don't know, Golden Gloves. You got to go down to, you know, the club shows, you know, the smaller cards, to work your way back up, maybe something like that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, he most definitely couldn't. He most definitely couldn't be no referee for no pay-per-view, because people would have been upset.
Card, man. Yeah, you messed it up. You can't get no man. It's over for you.
That's big money that you talking with these kind of fights too. The gambling and all that. So.
Just imagine if that was a top fighter, though. Just imagine if that was a Garcia, that, you know, he was the ref for the Garcia fight, you know, and we, you know, it was times where, you know, Garcia was looking way better than Benavidez at one point in time. So, you know, do you stop the fight then? You know, I mean, just because he looked better than his opponent. So, yeah, that's why I was saying, like, he couldn't be no ref for no pay-per-view, or he couldn't even been a ref for the Garcia match.
For sure. The next fight we had was with Demirzin. I was not as familiar with him. He's Turkish. And Adam Konaki, who's Polish guy. I had been a fan of his for a while. He's stepped up in competition his last couple fights and has not done well for himself. And so I think we've seen, for me, I saw a fighter that just wasn't in good enough shape. And I feel like that's been the issue. He came out looking great, but when the person he was punching doesn't stop, like, you got to keep going.
Around, he looked dead.
Yeah,
and then he doesn't have the. I think the other part of it too is normally with a guy that size, you're packing a little more power. Like he doesn't have any power to really, buzz guys or stun guys or to back guys up. And he was never able to. The guy just kept coming and he couldn't back him off. So I think to that was part of it too, as well as the conditioning.
And I think
he was throwing on marshmallow punches.
The worst part of that is you always have bad defense. Like there's little to no head movement. Like at a certain point, he was just started laying on the ropes, taking shots. So
he was taking shots when he wasn't landing on the rope too. He was just like he was moving his shoulders.
This wasn't one of those defensive fights, that's for sure.
No. They most definitely didn't work on no head and neck exercises during their training camp. It was all shoulders and body. They was like, hey man, just do this.
There wasn't a whole lot of sit-ups being done, I'll tell you that.
It was a whole lot of push. It was a whole lot of pull-ups. Pull up to the table.
Yeah, buddy. So we'll kind of see
weight limit. So they just got they figured they can come in at whatever.
So before we
he looked like it too.
The 154-pound fight, I did want to get you guys' opinion on Deontay Wilder. Tyson Fury, by all accounts, has tried to retire. Mm-hmm. You got a division that seemingly is there for the taking. Why do y'all feel we haven't heard anything from him in relation to any of these big fights or his interest in boxing anymore?
We talking about Wilder, right?
Yeah.
I think he's waiting. Well, I think he's waiting to get the winner of the Joshua rematch. I think that's what he's waiting for, because there's really not much else out there for him to do. Ain't really no need for him to take no tune-up fights, anything of that nature at this point. Like the only thing is really that's going to challenge him anyway is championships, and really the only other big fighter that he hasn't fought yet is Joshua. So I think he's just waiting for the winner of that one.
And when did Joshua fight?
I feel like it's coming up soon.
Yeah, they fight soon.
Crazy say, because this month we got some matches pretty much almost every weekend this month, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, Joshua and Usyk fight, but I don't have a date, unfortunately.
Cause don't your guy fight this month?
It's the 20th.
Ray?
I just looked it up.
No, yeah,
August 20th.
What were you saying, Dev?
I said, don't your guy fight this month? Jake Paul or one of the Paul brothers?
Nah, it's shady business. The fight's off. Apparently, it was a weight clause or something. So I don't know. Sound like somebody was starting to get a little shook. If you ask me,
I think. Well, I'll tell you what I've read, and y'all could be the judge of it. Okay, so the fight was supposed to be originally contracted at 200 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess we're getting close to, I forgot how many days out it was. And he was supposed to be at a certain weight, because he fought. He's supposed to be at a certain weight. I think he's supposed to be at like 215 or something like that.
And this Paul or just the other guy?
No, this is Rockman.
Okay.
He's supposed to be at like 215 or something like that, to make sure that he was on track to be able to make the 200 pounds. So he was like, I guess he came back to them, was like, yo, I'm not gonna be able to do 200 pounds. We could do can we do 205? And so Paul was like, yeah, we could do 205. And then he came back. He said the closest that he could get down to is 212. We couldn't cut any more weight after that. So, and Jake Paul wasn't willing to go anywhere past 205. So that's why the fight was called off.
Oh, so your man was scared. It sounded like he didn't want to go up.
So that's why
weight.
I wanted to put it to y'all, and then y'all can tell me what y'all.
So is your man scared, Ray? Is your guy scared, man? You might want to hit him up on YouTube and ask him, man. Hit him up.
How did he become my guy? I missed that.
Hey, you said that he was a real fighter, and
I said if he win this fight, I got to take him serious. I still don't.
Man, that's your guy. That's your guy.
Nah, he
that's your
embarrassed
guy.
my man Nate, and I'm still waiting for somebody to get him back for what he did to Nate. He shouldn't have did it to Nate. And then what he did to what was the second dude he fought?
Woodley. He put him to sleep.
Yeah, Woodley. Like, he can't be doing that to my brothers. Like, somebody gotta step up. AB, Lamar Odom, somebody got to get in there and do something.
Hey, well, AP and Le'Veon great fight soon.
That got postponed too. I'm not sure why.
Oh, good. No, I'm good. I wasn't watching that.
We ain't gonna get no celebrity boxing then.
Yeah, I can't.
I'm all right with that. I ain't gonna lie to you.
Yeah, I'm cool with it. Like, after like you said, after Jake Paul and whip Nate Robinson, I was like, man, I don't kind of want to watch no more celebrity boxing. Ocho Cinco didn't look too good.
Really? I thought he looked all right. And he
looked like he gassed out, man. He gassed out. He ain't got the stamina as he once did. Yeah. You know what I mean? But he looked good for an amateur. I give him that, but he gassed out. I thought I was going to see a little bit more out of him. I thought I was going to see that Ocho Cinco, that NFL Ocho Cinco trash talking.
He ain't no spring chicken either. Ocho up there.
I think he's in his 40s, mid-40s.
Yeah, he's in his 40s.
And he was smoking them cigars.
Yeah, Ocho 44, man.
The way he was talking though, I thought he was going. That's what I'm saying. Ocho sold me. He got me. He could have been a good used car salesman, man. He'd have got me.
Let me ask y'all this though. So let's get back to this Jake Paul thing for a second. I want to ask y'all this because I just looked it up. They said Jake Paul is 185. So that's just looking online. Just did a quick Google. They say he's 185. So do you think that he was ducking Rockman? Y'all think he ducking?
Yeah.
You think 205? Do you think that's too much of an ask?
So because I know it wasn't just a weight clause, there was also a rehydration clause. So that he couldn't blow back up after. I think Jake Paul saw what happened to Canelo when he went up too high and the punches didn't hit the same.
Didn't have the same.
The punches
that's a great point.
Got hit, felt a little different. Getting hit by Woodley is a little different than getting hit by Rockman. So I think if he was, and then you go from 200 to 212, like, that's a big difference especially when he rehydrates. So I think he realized, yeah, man, that's just too big of a gap. So we can hold off, and either I got to put on more weight or you got to figure out a way to get down, or this just ain't going to happen. And we'll see what kind of happens from there. But he was supposed to fight another guy at first anyway. So I'll be curious but his visa, he couldn't get in the country. Tyson Fury's brother.
Oh yeah, the brother.
So we'll see kind of
Fury's brother. Yeah.
What comes of that, but I'm not overly upset by it. I do got to ask, since we're on the celebrity boxing, there are rumblings and rumors. Mayweather McGregor 2 could be on the horizon. Based on you guys' expression, it does not seem like you guys are excited about this showdown.
Nope.
I'm not. How much more? What's the difference? What's the different outcome we're going to see? We're going to get the same.
Keep getting your money, Floyd, but I'm not interested.
Yeah, it's going to be the same outcome. It's going to be the same dancing match. It's going to be.
You don't think Floyd has gotten worse since the last time they fought?
He slowed down a little, but even as much as he slowed down.
When
This
the
guy's
last
not a
time McGregor
boxer.
boxed? I guess when the
Yeah.
last time McGregor is really boxing, but
Probably in his local pub every weekend.
boxing beers and boxing
Yeah,
people,
yeah.
regular people don't count.
Right. That's different. A minute fight versus 53, 12,
I
53
ain't
minute
interested
rounds.
in it. Ray, you interested in that? Like how much more? Like how much?
Ray watch all of that. Ray's here for all of it.
Sign me up.
Why?
I told you.
Why though, Ray? What are you looking
Greatness.
for in this? Who?
Entertainment. I told you I watched Mayweather fight his sparring partner, and it was entertaining. Like it wasn't. It was completely different from any other Mayweather fight. Like he talking to the crowd, like he's engaging. It was almost like Big Three boxing, or it was just more entertainment or something. Or the Drew League boxing. Like it wasn't Crawford and Spence, but it was still entertaining. And so I ain't paid to watch a fight in a while, and I wouldn't pay to watch that, but I would definitely, they would get my view and my commentary on it, because
He wouldn't get your money, huh?
Nah, they ain't gonna get them dollars.
My man said, "You can get me watching it, but you won't get me paying for it."
Yeah,
I'm with you on that. Only thing I'm paying for is Showtime. That's it.
That's for sure. And so that brings us to the main event. Danny Garcia went up in weight to 154 pounds, and I'll give my 2 cents. I thought he was impressive. I thought, I've seen Jose Benavidez fight, and he's definitely going to come forward. I think he was definitely the right type of fighter for Danny's skill set. He's not a huge puncher at that weight, so I think it was a well selected opponent. But I think Danny looked good. He mentioned after the fight, Keith Thurman and others. Tony Harrison said he wants to fight. I would like to see that fight.
Yeah,
I definitely would like to see that fight. But he didn't seem to respond to that. And Keith Thurman responded, I don't know if it was real or not, but basically pretty dismissive, and said basically, be careful what you wish for.
Is he even going to fight? Is he fighting at 154 now, Thurman?
I don't know. His last fight was at 147. I don't know who his next fight is. I don't think. I haven't heard anything announced. I mean, he won his last fight, but it wasn't that impressive to me. So I don't know when his next fight is. I don't see anything scheduled. But it sounds like a rematch with Garcia may be on the table, but it doesn't look like anything scheduled at this point. So yeah, that was my 2 cents. I thought he looked good. Dev, I don't know. Kenny kind of agreed. Dev and Kenny, did y'all have any additional thoughts on Danny Garcia at 154? And do you think he'll stay there? And how successful can he be?
I see him staying there. I did see a little bit of rust coming from him in that fight also. At times, I seen at times that where I think he could have took advantage of Benavidez at times. Like some of those body shots that he should have been giving more to Benavidez, because at one point at the time Benavidez was fighting so hard that his midsection was wide open, and then once Danny started going down there, you seen Benavidez's hands drop. And I was like, oh, this is where Danny Garcia is going to take control of more face shots, but I didn't really see that from him. It could be moving up in the weight, like y'all said earlier. He might not don't have that same amount of power as he was in his upper class, but this was his first fight in about a year some change. So he did his thing. He held his own. I give him that, but I was expecting a little bit more out of
him. Okay. Yeah, I think I thought a little more of his performance than you did, Deb. I thought that his punches had snapped to him. I thought he did a good job of putting his punches together. I did think, to your point though, I think he took his foot off the gas in the second half of the fight. I think he realized that he pretty much had to, he was dominating the fight. He felt like he had it in the bag, so he took his foot off the gas. In the later rounds. But I thought, for the first half of the fight, I thought he looked pretty sharp, especially considering that he hadn't fought in 19 months. I thought he looked pretty sharp. I thought his footwork, I thought, his hand speed, because he's never been the fastest of hand speed.
Right.
So I thought his hand speed was kind of, where it was before he took his break. I think he can. I think he's going to be. I don't think he's going to be a knockout fighter, but I think he's going to have enough power where he can keep guys honest. So I don't think he's going to be dropping guys like he was dropping guys at the welterweight division, but I think he has enough power to keep guys honest and keep guys from being able to walk him down. I'm not sure I don't think he wants. I wouldn't advise him to have any parts of the Charlo brother. I think he needs to leave that alone. I think Tony Harrison would be a good matchup for him. So I would like to see that fight in terms of one of his other options, and maybe if Thurman moves up to 154, maybe we see that rematch. There might be some interest. But I like what I saw from Swift, and I think that. I think 154 is going to be a good division for him, and I think he will be able to continue his career and still be relevant, because because of those losses, he started to fall into that step up, or that step up fight, or that fight right before you challenge for. He was starting to fall back into that class, where he was up in the upper echelon of the 147s. So I think he's got a chance to make some noise in 154, but I don't see him challenging for the crown of the top fighter in 154, which is Charlo.
I think the other part to me that was kind of surprising, but I get it, was Jose Benavidez is a name, but he's not really a star. And
Right.
Danny brought out some celebrities to that fight, like between I can't think of his name. Sway was there.
Yep.
Tracy Morgan was there.
Tracy Morgan.
Other fighters were there. There were other celebrities there. So I think that speaks to his level of star power. And where was that even in that fight? So if he goes and make some of these other fights that we believe would be out there, I think he would definitely. It showed that he can put on a performance and bring the stars out. So I was happy to see that, and hopefully we see more of it from him. We do have to touch on it as it's getting closer to arriving. The return of the Can Man, Adrian Broner, is set for August 20th. And it's a tough test. I think this is kind of it for him versus Omar Figueroa Jr. Just kind of get you guys early thoughts. Will this be the return of Adrian Broner, or would this be the funeral of Adrian Broner? Kenny, I see you shaking your head. You don't seem positive.
Yeah, no, I'm not. I'm done believing in Adrian Broner. I had really high hopes for him. I thought he was going to be that next guy to take the torch from Floyd, and especially when he was in that 130, I thought that he was really going to be somebody that was going to live up to his name. That was going to be a problem between 130 and 135, and he just. I don't know. I guess he just got to the money and got a little too comfortable and lost the hunger and lost the thirst and love for fighting. And it's basically been downhill ever since then. And I think now he's just fighting for paychecks now, because he's blown through. If the reports are accurate, that he's blown through a lot of his money. So I think he's just fighting for paychecks now, and I'm not a believer. I don't think he has the hunger or the love for the sport. I think it's kind of similar to, sadly, Mike Tyson on his last those last few fights where he was just fighting for paydays, and I just think that's where he's at. He's just fighting for paydays. I don't think he has the love for the sport anymore, and I'm not a believer anymore. So I don't have no hopes for Adrian Broner.
Dev, do you co-sign?
Yep, all the way. I co-sign all the way. So Kenny, you ever need a car, man? I'm co-signing with you on this one. Because I no longer believe in Adrian Broner no more, man. He disappointed me a couple years ago, man. And because like Kenny say, he had so much potential. He had everything lined up for him to be one of the best boxers in the game, and he let his ego get straightened away. He let the ego, he let the money, he let the distractions, he let everything in the world get in his way. And like Kenny said, he just fighting just to be fighting, man. You know what I mean? I don't see no passion in it. Now, this fight might change, hopefully, for him. But if this fight doesn't change, and if he doesn't put a show on, man, this is it for Adrian Broner. I don't see no pay-per-view, no Showtime, nobody wants to going to be able to deal with him or wants to deal with him. I think after the last couple of years, he didn't pretty much close this casket, and this fight is going to determine if the nail is going in it or not. Let's go different. Come on.
He's trying to hold out hope. I can see it. He's trying to hold out hope. I can see it.
I want to disagree with y'all. I do. I was a big Adrian
not
Broner
this time.
fan. But I think this is it. I think this is it. I haven't. I will say this. I think we'll know in the first round. And if it's the Showtime Adrian that waits and counter punches, like he's at a point in his career, he has to start coming forward. He has to throw punches. He doesn't have the power to knock people out in the way in which he's fighting, and he just gets outpointed because he just lulls. So I hope he gets it. I hope he can look at his, I don't know how good of friends they are now, Tank, and see what it takes. You got to be willing to come forward. You got to be willing to apply pressure. And I just don't know if we're going to see it. So I hope for the best, but nah. I think it's over. I think the run will come to an end, and in essence, he will. I think he has a deal with Showtime, and I don't know how many more fights he has, so he may pop up. But his days of being that guy, I think,
does he have a deal, or is Al Haymon just doing him a solid?
So y'all consider him as a main card, or
he better win.
He gotta win.
The only way he'd be a main card is if he like him and Rolly fight or something. Like he fight.
I wouldn't even watch that main card.
No, I watch that.
I swear, I'm not watching that.
The lead up to that fight.
Oh, no, that was the talk, the trash.
Oh yeah, I will most definitely watch the weigh-in more than I will watch the actual fight.
$25 out of me based on the way they talking ahead of time.
The all access would definitely be comedy. You're right.
Yeah. But the actual fight, nah, I ain't gonna waste my time. Both of them gonna knock each other out. They both gonna get a 10 count. They both gonna wake up talking trash after they knock each other out.
So Damien did have this, and I wanted to get to it earlier. I have not seen the trailer for the movie. Have you all seen the Mike Tyson trailer? How does it look?
I seen a little glimpse of it. I didn't watch the full trailer because I didn't really believe in it. I thought it was, you know how they put fake stuff out, like, oh yeah, this is the movie coming out. But from the little parts that I seen,
Jamie Foxx had said that he was that it was definitely happening. So I knew it was coming. I just didn't know that there was a trailer out.
Yeah. But the little glimpse that I did see, it looked like it's going to be interesting.
Okay. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
I don't think they're going cheese. I don't think they're going to make it cheesy like how they did the Pac movie.
Oh man.
Yeah,
I didn't know
don't see anything
Jamie
like
Foxx
that.
is playing Mike Tyson.
Yes.
Yeah, because he said he was the only one that can do his voice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then
And, especially if it's anybody that's going to do the role justice, because we saw what he did with Ray Charles, so we know that he's going to do the role justice. So that's why I'm excited about it.
All right, so I need an early prediction then. Kenny, are you saying that Jamie Foxx will be a better Mike Tyson than Will Smith was a Muhammad Ali?
Woo.
Yes. Because not only will he do the acting chops, but he's going to have the voice. Like we see that he's able to mimic his voice. So we're gonna, to me, he's gonna really, because as good a job as Will Smith did as Ali, he didn't have the voice. Like he had the mannerisms to a degree, but he didn't have the voice. That it wasn't close in terms of the voice.
Ladies and gentlemen, y'all heard this. Kenny
it's gonna be Jamie Foxx. Early.
Jamie Foxx.
Early.
That's a tough
Jamie
one.
Foxx over
That's a tough one. Like I believe in Jamie Foxx. I can see it, but I don't know. Will playing Muhammad Ali. I can watch that movie over and over. You know what I mean?
His thing, no question.
Don't get me wrong. Jamie Foxx is like the best impersonation out
That's
here.
what I'm saying.
We will see, because he did do his thing on Ray. I give him that.
He ain't have to get in great shape to play Ray though.
But you got to find how to find that monkey on your back though. If you ain't never had it on there.
Well, hey, but he already played that because Ray had the monkey.
That's what I'm saying. He had the monkey on it. He had to find a way to put that monkey on his back.
Yeah,
they actually kind of had similar career paths in some ways.
How about that?
But before we get ready to get out of here, I did want to get your thoughts on after the fight. It was, and I can't. Danny Garcia moved obviously up to 154, but we're seeing more and more fighters. Davis has fought at 140. Ryan Garcia said he wants to fight Davis at 140. We're starting to see more of the 130, 135 starting to move up as they get a little older. Do you guys worry that 135 might become in jeopardy if the Stevensons, the Lomas, that was the other person. Teo was on Max Kellerman's show, and he said he wants to fight at 140 now.
And isn't his next fight at 140?
His next fight is at 140, and I think he said he's going to stay there because it was hurting his body too much to come down. So, do you guys think we're in a potential issue where a lot of the heavy hitters at 135 will go to 140, and 135 will kind of diminish? Can you kind of shake your head? Go ahead, Dan.
I see.
Yeah, like I Dan.
I see it because as you get older, it's kind of hard to cut weight. As you just keep getting older, and I think that's what happened to the Jake Paul situation. As you get older, it's hard to cut weight, and then once you cut that weight, it's kind of hard to keep that balance and keep that find your power, find your strength throughout the whole thing. So, as these guys getting older, you're not going to see a lot of 135s. I think you're going to start seeing the 140s and, keep moving up. So I think 135 is most definitely in trouble.
Yeah, I'm with Dad. I think that's the problem is that all of the marquee guys in that division are young. And so as a result, their body's gonna start filling out and they're gonna have trouble being able to stay at that weight. So I think it's definitely gonna wind up with 140 because I think Devin Haney is talking about after he does this rematch that he was talking about as well, he was going to 140. So I think 140 is gonna become the hot division. And 135 is going to basically kind of die down because Lomachenko, he's no spring chicken. He's up there in age. So I think that it is what it is with him. He's where he's going to be. So he's kind of going to be stuck without any dancing partners because all those guys are going to wind up going up to 140.
No, I agree. Which I'm not terribly upset. I think it'll start to separate the men from the boys. Once you get to that 140, 147, that's where 147 is kind of where you're seeing Pacquiao max out, Mayweather maxed out. A lot of the punchers tend to max out at that weight. So we'll be able to see. I did see Davis bring his power to 140. So I've seen him do it. It remains to be seen really if anyone else can. But there's a lot of fights to be made, even including Cambosis and others. So hopefully they just keep round robining each other, and we end up with another undisputed champion. Because I think a bunch of the 140 titles are vacated, so there's a lot of opportunity there too. I know Haney has 3 of them at 135, so should be exciting time. Before we get out of here,
question though. Let me ask you a quick question, well, both of y'all. Do you think that this is basically the future of boxing is going to be between that 135 and 140 and 147 is going to die down because of the lack of marquee fights left?
I can see that. Because I can see the majority of the talent is coming in through the 135 to start their career off, maybe, and then you might elevate to that 140 weight class. So I can see it that way also too. You start your career off light, then you make your way up to that 140 range. I can see that.
I think it's possible, but I think we still got another 3 to 5 years. I think Ugas will be around. I think Spence and Crawford will be around. I think Ennis is the future. Garcia and Thurman, they're on their way out. And then it gets kind of thin.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not sure if 147 is going to be able to hold up because you got about 4 or 5 guys in that 135, 140 range that you got a bunch of big fights that could happen. So I think that may become the hot division now.
And for what it's worth, there are a lot of people that, could begin to, differentiate themselves or kind of break through. But no, I think it's a valid question. Should this not get taken care of here soon? But I think PBC and Showtime and those others will finally figure it out. I hope. Boxing is one of those things we kind of talked about earlier. They just got to catch up with the times. I think they have a great product and they got a ton of talent, and they're making a ton of money for what it's worth. They are making money, but just give it to us more and preferably faster. Anything else y'all wanted to wrap up with boxing or fighting before we get out of here? No.
No.
All right.
Last question.
So we are going into, and obviously this is subject to change, but the next show we will have the NFL in action. So I got to get it on paper early. Who do you guys have in the Super Bowl this year, and who do you have winning it? We'll start with you, Dad.
Dang, you just going Super Bowl? Wait.
Yeah,
jeez. Oh man, look, man, I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna be biased. I'm taking my Ravens.
No, he don't even believe that.
All right, man. On a serious note, I really can't pick a team yet. It's way too early, Ray. Like we ain't even get one preseason game out the way yet. But
you talking about practice?
Preseason? Shoot, this is
starters only gonna play about 20 plays in preseason.
All right, my prediction. Who's going to win it? Or who's going to be in it?
Who you got in the meeting in the Super Bowl, and who you got winning it?
All right, in the NFC, I'm gonna take the Saints. Yeah, I'm gonna take the Saints in the NFC. In the AFC, Boy, this is. I'm gonna go ahead and say it. I'm taking the Ravens. I'm taking them. I'm taking them.
Homer.
Yeah, I'm taking them.
Homer.
Say nah. On the AFC side, I'm gonna go ahead and take I'm gonna take Las Vegas.
That's interesting.
Ooh.
I was thinking about
I'm gonna take Las Vegas. I'm gonna go on the limb. I like what they did with their. I like what they did with the wide receiver core with Devontae Adams. I finally think they can get Derek Carr to that next step that everybody believe that he can go with. So I'm gonna go ahead and take Las Vegas.
And who you got winning it? So you got Vegas and New Orleans in the Super Bowl.
I'm gonna take Vegas all the way. I think this is the year of Vegas.
They finally get it right. They finally get it right.
A parade in Vegas. I'm sure that's going to be exciting. Okay. Kenny.
You kind of stole my thunder with the AFC because I was thinking about the Raiders, but I'm going to go against the grain and say that the Bengals get back to the Super Bowl. Normally Super Bowl teams, when they lose the Super Bowl, they rarely get back. But I'm gonna go against the grain and say the Bengals. I'm gonna say they upgraded their offensive line, getting one of our former Cowboys, Lyle Collins. I think he's gonna help solidify that offensive line for Joe Burrow, and that offense is gonna be really prolific this year. So I got them coming out of the AFC. The NFC, I'm not sure. I would say the Rams. It's a few teams that are in my head. The Rams are a team that's in my head. Of course, the GOAT, you can't discount the Bucks, but them losing their center, we're gonna see how that's gonna affect them and impact them. Who else do I like in the NFC? Because it's not going to be a rematch. I'm not picking a rematch. So
I don't see it being a rematch.
All right, I'm gonna go out on a limb. I'm gonna take a page out of Dan's book, go out on a limb, and say Aaron Rodgers finally gets it done, and finally takes his team on a deep playoff run and actually gets to the Super Bowl. And he matches up against the Cincinnati Bengals in the Super Bowl.
And who wins?
And the young buck, Joe Burrow, he's going to come up short once again in the Super Bowl. And the young buck, Joe Burrow, is going to mark his place on the scene, and he is the next guy.
So you telling me Aaron Rodgers is going to win without Devontae Adams?
He's going to go to the Super Bowl and come up short against Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals.
I thought I was going on a limb.
Yeah.
Let's go, Ray. Let's go, Ray. Come on.
I actually am definitely the opposite on Kenny. I think Cincinnati's going to have a comeback to earth year. I think they caught people by surprise. I don't think they make the playoffs. If they do, they're at the tail end. But we will see. Jamar Chase has looked great in training camp or whatever it is. So I'm going to stay with what I did last year. I got the man, the myth, the legend,
Ray Bayless.
Tom gets it done. He gets back to the Super Bowl one last time. And he will face, and this is tough. There's some teams I want to pick, but the team I'm going to have to pick is I think Buffalo figures it out. I think Buffalo figures it out. And
that was another one I was
we
thinking
got
about too.
Yeah,
we
I was
have
struggling between them in Las Vegas.
Tom and Josh. They played golf this summer. I believe Tom won, and I believe Tom wins again. I think this version of Von Miller is not the same version he faced some years ago. And so, or no, that was Cam that got destroyed. Cam got beat up by Von. And I guess Von was good last year too. But I think Tom Brady figures it out. He gets Julio a ring, which I'm really hoping can happen. And I hope and pray he will ride off into the sunset and be done with it all, but I doubt it. So,
Since you brought Julio
got,
real quick, since you brought Julio up, is he a Hall of Famer with or without the ring?
Is Julio a Hall of Famer with or without what?
A ring.
He's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, I think he's gonna. Yeah, but I think it'll be one of those things where he doesn't get in on the first. It'd be like those guys where he doesn't get in on the first nomination, but he'll get in.
Megatron got in first ballot, right?
Yeah,
I believe so.
If Megatron got in first, I think the biggest issue that Julio's going to have is he don't got many touchdowns. He's always had low touchdown numbers. So I agree. I think he could end up missing first ballot, but he also could play for another 3 years and potentially perform at a high level. I don't really know what we're going to get, but as it stands, I think he will make it in. First ballot will kind of be determined. He will determine that based on how his career finishes. I don't think today he's first ballot. So we'll see. So I guess I'll run that back to you, Kenny. Who's more likely to get into the Hall of Fame, Matt Ryan or Julio Jones?
That's a good question. Matt Ryan has an MVP, right?
He does have an MVP.
Yeah, probably Matt Ryan, because when it's all said and done, I think his numbers are he's gonna wind up in those top tens, just based off of longevity. I think I'm just guessing, but I'm thinking because of longevity, he's gonna wind up in them top 10. I'm just gonna look at. Now that you said, I'm about to check real quick.
My issue comes when I look at Matt Ryan and his era of quarterbacks. Was he top 10?
Yeah, I'm gonna look in to see.
Are we now? How we putting this top 10? Are we putting this top 10 in wins? Are we putting in top 10?
If you took the quarterbacks of his era and you ranked them, the Brady's, the Roethlisbergers, the Wilson, the
Joe Flacco's.
Well, right now,
because him and Joe Flacco was in the same draft class.
Eli Manning's in that conversation.
Yeah, like right now, he's number 8 all time in
yards.
Right behind Dan Marino, and he's probably going to pass Dan Marino this year. So yeah, I think he's gonna. Get him a Hall of Fame. He made a Super Bowl. He did make a Super Bowl.
And an epic collapse in that Super Bowl.
He did. I'm just saying, like he did. Win an MVP.
That was Atlanta fault. That wasn't Matt Ryan fault. That was Atlanta fault.
I think, like I said, with all his career,
he took that sack he shouldn't have took. Nanny fumbled.
Yes, and knocked him out of field goal range. That was a big play.
Yeah, but also Atlanta didn't run that clock. They did way more passing
as a quarterback. You can audible out of the play too. Like that's all.
Yeah, true.
So, I don't know. I think Phillip Rivers is a better quarterback than Matt Ryan. I
think they had almost about the same career.
I think Phillip underperformed, but
I think because I think Phillip the Chargers. They was a playoff team, but they always got bounced in that second round. So
But he was in the tough
like
era. He was in the Brady, Manning, Roethlisberger era.
Yeah, so so that era, like you said, that era was a little tough, So, and there was a lot of quarterbacks in that era that won Super Bowls too, because Eli won 2, Roethlisberger won 2, Joe Flacco won 1 in there. So that's like the only downfall of Matt Ryan, that he wasn't able to actually win one.
Drew Brees in that class.
Yeah, so that will be his downfall, that he wasn't able to win one.
Because
like everybody else.
By that same token, Cam Newton should be on that list now. Cam got a Rookie of the Year. Cam got an MVP. He got a Super Bowl appearance.
So do y'all really view Cam as a Hall of Famer?
I think if you're arguing for Matt Ryan, I can argue you should argue for Cam.
Right. That's why that's why I was saying we arguing for Matt Ryan, and I guess you could say Phillip Rivers too. Then I guess you can throw Cam in that conversation also.
And that to me just opens the doors real wide when you get into that tier quarterback as a Hall of Famer. There's a lot more of those guys.
Yeah, most definitely. Because then now you can almost throw like
Kenny, you on mute. We can't hear you.
Like a Ryan Tannehill into that conversation too, when his career can be almost said and done.
Yes, I was saying once you get into those top 10 all-time lists, man, it's hard to, people gonna the compilers of the, they're gonna wind up getting just based off of those, want to get one of them lifetime achievement award type situations.
I just think the direction it's going, passing yards as a stat, I just don't think the value is going to be on it. Touchdown interception ratio, QBR, wins, MVPs, stuff like that. But I just don't know if passing yards is going to be enough to get it done. If your rating's low, if your interception ratio is low, if your playoff record's low. Aaron Rodgers is also in that group. So there's a lot of quarterbacks I'm taking ahead of Matt Ryan. And if he getting in, there's a bunch of people getting in. And I don't know how I feel about it, but we'll see. Last question. As far as Deshaun getting in, I think if he wins 2 rings, wins an MVP, I think he'll overcome this. But I don't think it's easy to swallow today. But I think up until this point, he was picture perfect. This is a heck of a fall from grace, but I think he has plenty of time to rebuild it and repair it. But he better not let it happen again.
I was about to say, I think as long as it's a one-off situation, I think he'll be able to get past it.
So we would definitely see, but y'all enjoy. We cannot wait for football to come back. It sounds like I ain't heard nothing on Kevin Durant and Kyrie, so I guess they just gonna run it back at this point. We're waiting.
Did y'all watch the doc?
The only thing I'm seeing is the Donovan Mitchell. That's the only thing I've been.
I did not. Was it good?
It was really good. Check it out. You'll enjoy it.
What was good?
It's a limited series.
No. It's just a documentary. So like an hour and a half.
Okay, I thought it was going to be in parts. Okay.
No. Actually, I just saw that the Mike Tyson thing is going to be a series. It's not going to be. So I was trying to look for the trailer, but I don't see anything with the trailer. I see a Hulu series of a trailer for that, but I didn't see anything with Jamie Foxx.
Okay. So yeah, we can look for that, but
yeah,
y'all have a good one, man. We will touch base and stay safe, and let's enjoy this week in sports. Take care.
Already.
All sports, all plays. All sports,